I once mistook quiet suffering for peace. I believed that to be good, to be loved, I had to absorb every slight, deflect every critique, and endlessly compromise myself until there was barely anything left. I thought true strength lay in enduring, in holding my tongue, in always seeking harmony, no matter the cost to my own soul. But what I was truly doing was letting the desire for external peace destroy my internal one. It was a slow erosion, insidious in its nature. It began subtly, with sarcastic remarks disguised as playful banter from someone I considered a friend, David. His jokes often stung, cutting a little too close, always followed by his dismissive laugh and a shrug. "Can't you take a joke, Amelia?" For years, I forced a smile, feigned amusement, or even tried to laugh it off, only to feel a cold knot tighten in my stomach. Each incident chipped away at my self-respect, leaving me feeling small and unheard. I thought I was being the bigger person, but in reality, I was just quietly tolerating disrespect. Then there was my brother, Michael. Our conversations often felt like walking through a minefield. Any decision I made that didn't align with his expectations would inevitably lead to an emotional outburst, a dramatic display of hurt or anger, making me feel responsible for his happiness, for his very feelings. "How could you say no? Don't you care about me?" he lament, twisting my reluctance into a personal attack. For a long time, I'd scramble to fix it, to appease, to soothe, believing that my actions directly caused his distress. The weight of that perceived responsibility was crushing, chaining me to his emotional whims. I began to see a pattern, not just in David and Michael, but in various relationships in my life. The friend who constantly vented negativity, draining my energy with tales of woe, yet refusing any solutions. The colleague who subtly belittled my achievements, masking their envy behind backhanded compliments. I was a vessel, perpetually open to everyone else's emotions and demands, believing it was my duty to manage their chaos, to absorb their toxicity. But a quiet voice, a spark of resilience deep within, started to question this existence. Was this truly peace? Or was it just a sophisticated form of self-abandonment? I realized that true self-respect wasn't about being universally liked, but about safeguarding my own integrity. It was about understanding that my peace wasn't something to be given away freely, only to be reclaimed in shards. It was a precious, non-negotiable asset, and if I wanted to protect it, I had to stop explaining my boundaries to people who were committed to violating them. The time had come for a different kind of strength, one rooted in stillness and resolution rather than constant accommodation. This realization was a revelation, a quiet storm breaking within me. It wasn't about confronting others with anger, but choosing myself with unwavering clarity. The Stoic wisdom echoed, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond." My response, I decided, would no longer be silence disguised as tolerance, but resolute guardianship of my inner sanctuary. The next time David dismissed my feelings with a cutting remark and familiar chuckle, something shifted. Instead of explaining, I met his gaze calmly. I said nothing. The silence stretched, uncomfortable for him, empowering for me. He tried another joke, less cutting, clearly fishing for a reaction. Still, I offered only quiet, indifferent presence. The conversation soon fizzled. It was a small, yet profoundly significant victory. My non-reaction became a clear boundary. This will not be entertained. With Michael, the shift was challenging but vital. When his emotional appeals began, I calmly stated, "Michael, I understand you're upset and I care. However, my decision is final. I am responsible for my choices, but not for your emotional response. You manage your own feelings." The first few times he escalated, but I held firm, refusing to engage. Over time, the dramatic outbursts lessened. My peace was no longer contingent on his emotional state. The friend who drained me with endless negativity, I quietly began to disengage. I offered less advice, made fewer suggestions, and gently steered conversations away from complaint. Eventually, I created more space, prioritizing uplifting connections. It wasn't abandonment, it was self-preservation. I wasn't just walking away from their chaos, I was stepping into my own calm. I observed patterns of accountability. Those consistently blaming others, refusing to acknowledge their part, slowly faded. My energy was too precious. Similarly, subtle jabs from the envious colleague no longer stung. I recognized them as projections, not reflections of my worth. My progress was mine own, shielded with quiet confidence, protecting my peace from those who resented my joy. This was not anger, but profound self-love. I stopped explaining boundaries to people committed to violating them. Instead, I simply enforced them through my actions. I learned true self-respect means not letting love or loyalty destroy yourself. Peace without boundaries is indeed quiet suffering. I chose to stop suffering, to embrace the liberating strength of my unwavering truth. This, I discovered, was the true path to inner peace.